In the beginning. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to this video if you want more content like this. And leave a comment.
Hey man, welcome back to another Act Like You Know video. You're here with your boy Jaimito after the Dallas Mavericks have clinched their spot in the NBA Finals to face the Boston Celtics after a 124-103 Game 5 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, completing a gentleman's sweep on Minnesota's home court. Luka Doncic obviously came out on his bully today, for lack of better words, and Luka Doncic gave us another road performance that was resemblant of the 2022 Game 7 against the Suns when they went up by 40 as well. And Luka came out and scored the first 12 of the first 12 of 16 points for the Dallas Mavericks, ultimately beating the Timberwolves 20-19 in the first quarter by himself. Luka Doncic was absolutely phenomenal, alongside with Kyrie, as Luka sat at the end of the first quarter. Kyrie came and obviously did his thing and hooped, and they both had 36 to win this game. And the game was never really close after the first quarter. Obviously, you got to give credit to Cat and for continuing to play, even though down 40, make this game a little bit more respectable, I guess, even though they still lost by 20. But at least they didn't full out quit. But needless to say, man, Luka came out. I don't think he was even he wasn't even touching the rim. It was all net, and you could kind of get that sense after the two. He hit 3 like 30-foot bombs, and after the third one, you could feel like, yeah, no matter what's happening tonight, Luka's gonna win this game. And he just came out with a different energy after Game 4. You say I didn't come off enough energy, and he displayed that today. Even defensively, you saw him getting on the ground, and you've seen that throughout the playoffs of him getting on the ground. Him and Kyrie have definitely taken strides in they've taken strides in definitely defending better, just giving effort, and that. I'm not saying that's all defense is. Obviously, it's anticipation. You got to have some strength and whatnot, and just IQ of the game. But we have two very smart basketball players, and they don't have to carry a load for 48 minutes. Kyrie, I guess, never really had to unless he was on the Celtics. But even then, he had good players. But like Luka, for example, doesn't have to carry a load for 48 minutes through a game, or like 40 minutes during a game. So you can definitely see them giving more defensively, and you can definitely tell that they believe that this team is good enough to win a championship. And you can see that throughout all the players. And this just shows Dallas being the number one team after the NBA trade line in defense. And obviously, when you have Luka and Kyrie, you're always going to be good on offense. Needless to say that the other role players have stepped up. Obviously, PJ Washington last series, Derrick Jones Jr. coming in and knocking down corner threes, Derek Lively and Gafford catching lobs. You got Kleber back. He was phenomenal in round 1, and he hit a couple of threes this game, I believe. Or did he only hit one? Anyways, but Jaden Hardy was phenomenal this series. And in all, this series really did come down to in the first 4 games at least, the clutch minutes, the fourth quarter, because teams played each other evenly, and Minnesota had a lead going into the fourth quarter each game, whether it was by 1 or it wasn't by much, maybe 5 points, 7 points max. But Luka and Kyrie, we got 2 of the best closers in the game. If they're not the 2 best closers in the game, then they definitely have the 2 of the top 5 best closers in the game on their team. And that's what the series came down to. They were able to perform better when it was the clutch time, and Cat and Ant kind of shrunk, even though they had not generational performances, but they had really good performances from, like in game 1, you had McDaniels go off for 24. In game 2, I don't think Naz Reid missed a 3. Obviously, he missed 2. He missed the game winner, and he missed 1. So he started off 6 of 6 from 3, but he also had 20. So they got production from the role players throughout the series, but Ant and Cat weren't able to perform at the levels that they were in the first 2 rounds, especially Cat, except for game 4. And this game, I mean, he played a bit better, but Cat never really found the 3 ball going from this series. And you got to credit the Dallas Mavericks. They've been able to stop teams that shoot, or stop teams and players that shoot well, because they played the Thunder last series and they didn't shoot well from the 3, and they were the best 3-point shooting team from three throughout the season. And the Dallas Mavericks put a halt to that. Not a halt to that, but they held them under their averages by a significant amount. Obviously, Cat was terrible this series. Yeah, man, they're really good at closing out. And then obviously you got the two big guys behind you in Gafford and Lively, who are great at protecting the rim. And I was really surprised by Gafford and Lively. They essentially outplayed Cat and Rudy Gobert this series, and that was one of the tipping points of this series. And the bench played well. Well, obviously I mentioned Hardy. Green played well, obviously too. And Exum played well in Game 5. For the little minutes he was in, he made an impact. But yeah, man, you just got to credit the Dallas Mavericks. This team came together after the trade deadline. Great moves by the Dallas front office to put this team together around Luka and Kyrie, and they've been rewarded. They're going to the NBA Finals, and they have a real chance of being the Boston Celtics. When you have possibly the best player in the world, and then you have the best offensive skilled player ever, and then they have a great defense behind them, you're going to be in games, and especially if those games are close, which they should be in the NBA Finals, they will have an advantage because they have two of the best closers. As for the Minnesota Timberwolves, though, all in all, great year for the Minnesota Timberwolves. You had a chance to get the first seed coming down the stretch, and a lot of people were doubting this Minnesota Timberwolves team coming into the season. They were saying that Cat and Rudy wouldn't work, and for the most part, it did. They had the number one defense all year, and that's what they hung their hat on, and rose to a place where we can legit call him a superstar. You can look at Ant; he has the marketability, and most people believe that he can be the best player to win on a championship team. Obviously, there's some things that they could tweak, but I don't think. A lot of people are saying they need another guard to, and they do, because Mike Conley is good, but they need another guy that can go, and Karl Anthony Towns was doing that throughout the series. So, for the most part, I would keep the team the same. I would go into next year. Obviously, I don't know what Mike Conley's contract looks like. Obviously, they got to pay Naz Reid, I believe, but you have Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy, and McDaniels at least solidified for next season. They're pretty expensive. At least your core of your starters is solidified, but they are getting pretty expensive. So it's just rounding out the pieces around them. I don't know what Mike Conley and Naz Reid's contracts are looking like off the top of my head. You have Alexander Walker, Kyle Anderson. I think they'll bring him back. I think you can bring him back for a good price if for some reason that he's about to leave or something. I think they could bring him back for a good price, and I think he's found a good fit there. Naz Reid, if his contract's up, I can definitely see him leaving if the money's not looking right, because obviously Naz Reid is capable of being a starter in this league, if not one of the highest paid six men in the league, along with Malik Monk, who was, I believe, a runner-up in the six-man award year. So, if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, you got a bright future ahead of you. You obviously got a superstar on the rise in Anthony Edwards. You made your first deep playoff run with a relatively young / in their prime group with Rudy and Karl Anthony Towns turning 28 next year. You got Ant turning 23 next year. He'll be 23. And McDaniels, I don't know how old he is, but I think he's about 25. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can look into maybe getting a point guard like Tyus Jones, because the team's already expensive, or someone of that caliber. Maybe bringing Malcolm Brogdon on a nice contract. Someone that has a high assist to turnover ratio and will defend, protect care of the ball. Just get some of the responsibilities off of, and maybe you can keep Mike Conley. Maybe he just comes off the bench for you. Keep that veteran leadership on your team. But that's just some of my thoughts. If you're Minnesota Timberwolves, no reason to have your head down. Obviously, you're a little upset with how the series went, knowing that you could also, if the ball goes different ways, and if Cat's shots are dropping, or if Ant can get it going the first two games, this could be a completely different series. We could be looking at Minnesota being up 3-2 or something, heading to Dallas. If you win maybe a game or two, you know, you win one of the games at home. You could have won both of the games in Dallas, but for the most part, man, great season. You beat the defending champs. You know, you got a lot to look forward to. As for the Dallas Mavericks moving to the NBA Finals. A finals full with a lot of narratives, and just I'm expecting to see a lot of great basketball. So I think this is the best finals we could have get from a drama standpoint and a basketball standpoint. And it's going to be exciting to see, man. We'll talk about more of it in upcoming videos. Obviously, we got a week until the game happens on June 6th. And that's it for me for today. And obviously, no matter what in this final, Duke is going to win. Either Derek Lively and Kyrie are going to win a championship, or obviously Jason Tatum wins the championship. And Mil Jefferson's on the coaching staff. So that's it. Like, comment, subscribe if you know what I'm saying, you like the video, or don't. You know, I'm not going to beg you, but it'd be cool. You know what I'm saying. I'm out.